Hello and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Justice for All. In the last episode, we kicked off the new trial and we met the successor to Prosecutor Von Karma, who was the final boss in the last game in this series, but seems like his daughter slash granddaughter. I'm not really sure what her connection to him is exactly. No, it's his daughter. She seems to be the prosecutor that we're facing up against. So she mentioned a piece of incriminating evidence, so let's go check out what that is. Sorry, pal, but there's an even more incriminating piece of evidence. This is the costume the defendant was wearing at the time of the crime. As you can see, it's covered in blood. The defendant attacked and killed a person who, without a doubt, was not fighting back. So this is the costume. There certainly is evidence of a backspray of blood on this. This piece directly links Maya Fey to the crime, sir. I see. The court accepts it into evidence. Alright, Mr. Wright. Maya's fingerprints on both murder weapons and blood spatters on her clothes. Could this situation get any worse? What's wrong? You seem to be at a loss. I think this is the last piece of testimony the prosecution should have to offer. Feel free to sulk. Oh, whoops. Sorry, I read suck off the tail between your legs, but she meant feel free to sulk off with your tail between your legs, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Please stop calling me my full name, it's disturbing. Alright. Another piece. Costume. It's covered in blood. Text. Without a doubt, it was not fighting back. Let's press on the first part. This blood on the costume. Lab results show that it is the victim's blood. So there is blood from the victim on the defendant's clothes. Definitely not good. So were there any other clues you could glean from this piece of evidence? Well... If you must change the topic, then the good detective here must testify again. Sorry, I skipped over that. Oh yes, Ms. Von Karma is perfectly correct. Now even the judge is on her side. But if I bite off more than I can chew here, what should I do? Press further. Why is Ms. Von Karma suddenly putting up resistance? There must be a reason as to why she suddenly threw out an objection like that. There must be something about this costume. I just have to look harder. Mr. Wright, Ms. Von Karma's logic is perfect. There is no way for you to poke a hole in it. That's funny, because I was about to say that... Can we look at this closer? I guess we can. But in the close-up that we just got, there is like a little hole in the left sleeve. I don't know if the game was hinting at that, or if it just happened to be a coincidence when the judge says poke a hole. But I want to bring that up somehow. Looks like my time is up. So about the costume, there is one little thing. Your Honor, actually, there's something very wrong with this piece of evidence. What? What are you talking about, pal? Where is this problem you were talking about? I've come this far. There's no turning back now. The problem I have with this piece of evidence is here. This points. I asked the court to please take a look at the sleeve of this costume. The sleeve? There's a tiny hole here. A hole? But that wasn't on the report. Hold on. What's this around the hole? It smells faintly of gunpowder. Gunpowder? No one ever told me. A hole that smells of gunpowder. It looks like I found the hole I was looking for. Your Honor, the only logical conclusion you can make is that it must be a bullet hole. Order, order, order. This is a very grave matter. It's best we correct the court record first before anything else. Sorry about that. I guess we messed up, sir. Is she actually smiling? What else is she hiding? Pull yourself together, detective. That tiny hole doesn't change a thing. The strength of the evidence still holds. Continue with your testimony. That, just now, was a fluke, nothing more. Well, no, if there's a hole in your costume, or in the costume, that means that the victim was either fighting back or attacked first. Because that's a gunshot. But we still... That would only change the circumstances if we pleaded to justified self-defense. Shoot. Okay. I guess that doesn't help her case. How can you say something like that? This is a huge oversight. While I agree it is a mistake on the part of the police, what Prosecutor Von Karma has said is true. The evidence still stands. If you do not find a more definitive problem with the evidence, then... No way. Detective Gumshoe, please continue with your testimony. Ah, shoot. The defendant killed a person who was not fighting back. He wasn't fighting back? How do you know if he was or wasn't? We could find no evidence that the victim put up any sort of struggle, pal. So did the murderer have a fight with the victim or not? Depending on this, the circumstances around this murder change drastically. Okay, we do have something that, the bullet hole proves that he was fighting back. But again, that only is relevant in self-defense plea, but we'll see what happens. Detective Dick Gumshoe. Yes? Having you call me by my full name is a kind of weird feeling. You said that my client killed a person who, without a doubt, was not fighting back. Yeah, I did. Then what, may I ask, is the bullet hole you police overlooked supposed to mean? What does it mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means that the victim had fired off a shot. Is this what it means to not fight back? You're right. It seems you are correct. If the victim had tried to shoot the defendant, then it would change everything. Alright, the wind seems to be shifting. What is with that? Are you finished yet, laugh? Are you finished yet, Mr. Phoenix Wright? It seems that Maya Fey was shot at by the victim. However, that is only grounds enough to support a justified self-defense plea. That is correct. But I'm sure you remember, Your Honor, what the defense clearly said. They rejected justified self-defense and pleaded not guilty. Yeah, that's what I was scared would happen. Which means the defense has yet to prove anything at all. Well, yes, that's true. Furthermore, just the fact that there is a bullet hole in the costume is not enough to substantiate even a plea of justified self-defense. Huh? How so? Don't just stand there. Hurry up and tell the court what transpired that day. With the new information we acquired added in, of course. Huh? You mean by myself? You want me to put together the scenario all by myself? Yes, sir. Right away, sir. During the channeling, the defendant saw her chance to stab the victim in the chest. Of course, the victim used the last of his strength to fight back, sir. While the two were fighting, the victim took out his gun. The victim took a shot, but because they were too close, he missed. The defendant then picked up on the opening, took the victim's gun, and ended it. How does he know all that? Yeah. Well, Mr. Wright? On the surface, it does seem to make sense. However, I won't give up that easily. Please refrain from glaring at me like that. Now then, your cross-examination, please. Alright, so our chances at the victim. Here's loss of strength. Took out his gun. Took a shot close. Took the gun and ended it. Okay, let's go back to the first one. Yeah. There is quite a difference in height between Dr. Gray and the defendant. Add in body strength, then it seems unlikely the defendant could have stabbed the victim. Now that you mention it, yeah, I guess. I really like Von Karma's objection. It's just very crisp. You think you can get away with such flimsy reasoning, Mr. Phoenix Wright? Maya Fey was in the middle of channeling, was she not? When channeling with the Kurain channeling technique, the medium physically changes. With the nurse's build, the defendant could have easily been a match for the doctor. I don't believe it. She's even studied up on Kurain channeling technique. Like I said before, I am perfect. About what you were talking about, I didn't quite get it. Never mind. Let's continue with the testimony. Fighting, check his gun. Took a shot, but because they were too close, he missed. I guess that explains why he shot her in the sleeve? Let's press on that. So you're saying that the bullet hole in this costume was made then? Sorry, pal, but yeah, that's what I think. The two of them were already fighting when a shot was fired. Maya, I'm really glad you weren't hurt. Missing the tiny hole in this costume, yeah, exactly, would be the prosecution's undoing. Huh? What do you mean? This little hole has actually created a huge hole in your testimony. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. You said that the two of them were fighting when the victim fired his gun at point blank. If that were true, then where is the gunpowder burn on this costume? Oh. Gunpowder burn. This is what you testified earlier. When something is shot from point blank, a burn area is left around the bullet hole. Oh. But there is not a single trace of gunpowder burn on this costume. So it's either not a bullet hole, or no, it has to be a bullet hole because it smells like gunpowder. But that just means that they were farther away from each other than he originally testified. That is a very good point. And what exactly does this mean? It means that when the shot was fired, they were standing apart from each other. I'm disappointed, Mr. Phoenix Wright. You think you can punch a hole in my logic with that? With wishy-washy thinking like that, anyone can explain anything away. Then I implore you to disapprove my line of thinking. Let's see. In the middle of their fight, the victim pushed the defendant away. And it was then, when they were separated, that he fired. How was that? He was already stabbed. As if that was even possible. According to the testimony, the wound from the stabbing was very severe. The victim would not have had the strength to push the defendant very far after that. Nice, we got her on the ropes. Well then... That's right, the defendant must have pushed the victim away. After stabbing him, she must have put some space between the doctor and herself. And then while she was preparing to strike again, the doctor took a shot. Why would you put distance between yourself and your target? There, that should satisfy even you. That does seem to make an awful lot of sense. What do you think, Mr. Wright? I must be careful. I can't afford to make a mistake here. Concentrate and think. Something doesn't make sense. There's a fatal flaw in her argument, Your Honor. Fatal flaw? Very interesting. I would love to see where this flaw is. Show me something that contradicts my explanation. There has to be a snag in her explanation somewhere. She put some distance between them before rushing to make the final blow. And when she was about to strike, the doctor took a shot. These are always the trickiest parts. Newspapers are for motives. Yeah, attorney's badge isn't going to help us. Diagram of fame matter, that's not going to do anything. Magatama, folding screen. About 8 inches off the ground is a small hole that looks like a bullet hole. So depending on the angle, he could have shot downwards, it went through Maya's sleeve and into the folding screen. That's possible. And it would also prove that she was at a distance away from him. Black key, floor plans. Okay. Stab in the chest and shot point blank. Your weapon. Alright, let's go with that for now. This is the piece of evidence that destroys your logic. What is that? A folding screen? I would like to point the court's attention to the hole in this folding screen. It looks like you already know what I'm talking about. Who, where, what? Mr. Wright, your explanation, please. Are these two really that clueless? The bullet went through the defendant's sleeve first, then the folding screen. It passed through at a height of approximately 8 inches off the ground, which means when the shot was fired, the defendant, oh, that's a really big slip up. Or actually, no, never mind. I thought he said, never mind. The defendant, was not getting ready to strike, but was actually squatting low to the ground. Order. This changes everything. Please look at the diagram of this crime scene. The victim, Dr. Gray, was here when he fired the shot, and the bullet hit this folding screen. It hit at this location about 8 inches off the ground. At this time, the defendant was in this area. Behind the folding screen? So he shot downwards. So she was originally right here, and he shot, so like in like the lower right quadrant, somewhere around here. Oh, okay, I guess that's not it. Okay, so he was aiming at her, it went through here, so like right here, I guess? Somewhere around here? That's not it either. Okay. So this is where the hole is. We could go behind. Here. Behind? Yeah, okay, I should have just went with my gut instinct. Behind the folding screen. The victim and his attacker were fighting, were they not? Then what would the attacker be doing all the way back there? Besides which, if the attacker was behind the folding screen, then how could the victim even know where to shoot? It's obviously impossible. Yeah, I guess so. Mr. Wright. Boy, did I just screw up royally. What's done is done. For now, I should just focus on where Maya was at the time of the crime. Oh god, I'm really not good at these. So the bullet went through left sleeve, so maybe like right. Maybe like right here? She was standing here near the folding screen. Wait a second. We know the defendant was close to the ground based on the height of the bullet hole, but how can you gauge the distance from that? Isn't it possible that the defendant was standing much closer to the victim? Yeah, that's what I thought at first. That's impossible. But why? You, of all people, should know the answer to that question, Ms. Von Karma. If she were shot from somewhere closer, there would be gunpowder burns present. However, there is nothing of the sort around the bullet hole of this costume. Curse you, Mr. Phoenix Wright. You... I believe it has now been proven that the defendant was standing a ways from the victim when she was shot at. But do you think this has changed the defendant's situation? Changes everything. Honestly, Your Honor, this changes everything. The prosecution has claimed that the defendant was aiming to kill by stabbing. If that were true, delivering the final strike with the knife would be ideal. However, where and what was the defendant doing at that time? Squatting all the way by the folding screen. Exactly. If Maya Fey was a real murderer, why would she be at the folding screen instead of preparing to strike? I mean, she's still got blood on her costume, which is, I feel, is the more important part. Upon further consideration, it does make very little sense. Yeah, I figured there had to be a reason. Figuring things out and improving the logic behind everything is your job. Alright, with this, the rest of the trial should be in the book. Ah, damn it. Blast radius of disaster. You are such a smart man, Mr. Phoenix Wright. To think that you've been able to take a completely hopeless case at this point. Now I know why Papa had such a tough time with you. You amuse me. Ugh, of all the things to inherit, why did it have to be that smarmy smile? Detective, how dare you damage my perfect logic? Huh? You can start by repairing your standing by first removing that 3-strand goatee. My god. Oh, and rest assured, your punishment will come later. Punishment? Well then, Your Honor, I think I've had all I can take of this detective's face. I think it's time to call the next witness. Next witness? That's gotta be Lada. Very well. The court will take a 5-minute recess. After we reconvene, we will hear from the next witness. Oh, thank God. I was wondering. Okay, I was waiting for a good cutoff point, but I guess this is the perfect one. So yeah, that's. I'm still not totally sure of how like the location-based contradictions work. I'm not the best at those, but yeah, I'm glad we managed to get by okay in the first round. We'll see how we do when the next witness, which sounds like it'll be a lot of heart, shows up. So yeah, we'll pick up there in the next episode. So until then, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you then.